So hi to everyone who doesn't know me, I'm Dahlia. And today, I'm talking from New York City. And today I'm going to be talking briefly about The Abandoned Fairgrounds by Oscar Niemeyer. I think that's how I say it. For those who don't know what the abandoned fairgrounds are, they are this in Tripoli, Lebanon, which the reason why I took interest in this is because that's where my family is from. And I had seen it as a kid and we used to walk around and like see it from afar, but I never went inside or really knew what it was. So I took an interest in it. And today the article that sort of pushed me to explore this topic is this article, which is The Abandoned Fairgrounds. And it's by this online publication that's called, I think you say like Hers Khazin. I don't know how to say it, or Hers Khazin, not sure. But it's an online magazine that solely explores like architecture and design projects and design from the MENA area, which is like Middle East, North Africa, and stuff like that. So this is sort of where I started and then kind of did a bunch of research, which the links are later. But as you can see here on the right, this is like the leading photo, which looks crazy and apocalyptic already. So let's get into it. So kind of, as I said, this fairground is, when you see it now, it looks like futuristic, like spacey, and it's abandoned. There's nothing there. Like besides, you know, every once in a while people will go for runs there. There's a lot of teenagers skating, people play, like, but there's essentially nothing there. And it's this huge abandoned area in Tripoli, Lebanon, which if you've been to Tripoli, Lebanon, the fact that this is there makes no sense. It looks almost like misplaced. It looks strange. It feels like an alien dropped this area off and left, and that was it. So this fairground area, which is huge, it's 10,000, I can't say this word, so I'm just not gonna say it, which is like 250 acres, but it's like 15 structures in this huge open area. I know Mike is laughing. And this fairground has been abandoned since the 1970s, which is crazy. So no one is taking care of it. No one is really doing anything for it, and it's just there. And this area was expected to accommodate 2 million visitors. And it's kind of sad almost that it's not accommodating really anybody or anything at this point. Though the primary structures were completed, nothing was actually fitted out. So it's almost like there are these hollow shells and they're all there, but there's nothing inside. It's just there. Like the structures are just living in this big open space and no one's really doing anything with it. And here in the image, we can see one of the structures, just like this open theater area, and we'll continue and look at some more. So for context, in the 1960s, Lebanon was bumping. It was like the golden era, lots of amazing stuff was going on. There was like a lot of tourism, a lot of aristocrats coming in, and just Lebanon was really having its shining moment at this time. And Oscar Niemeyer, who was a famous, at the time, Brazilian architect, was really trending. So people wanted him to do work, people wanted to hire him, etc. And he actually got hired, I'm gonna read it, but he was asked to sort of ideate what this fairground could look like by the Lebanese government. The ambassador, I think, for Brazil from Lebanon is the one who asked. And so they sort of presented to him as like a project, like, what can you do with this? And he ended up actually designing it and doing it and going forth with it. And Niemeyer, as I said, was a modernist architect who also helped build stuff in New York, and he was like getting his name really, you know, he was becoming a well-renowned person. So everybody wanted him. At the time, you know, this development was meant to really symbolize cultural and social advancement. You know, there was, as I said, Lebanon was going through a really great time, and they wanted to sort of capitalize on this sort of like peaceful or, you know, sort of time. And now it's kind of ironic or almost sad that it's actually just like abandoned. Like I said, it's unsafe to be there. Things are like falling apart. It's been neglected, and it's really at risk of crumbling. And it's just, as I said, it's just sort of living in this space. So if we look at these images, we can see this is really like typical of his style, I guess. So he really worked with simple concrete, and originally these structures were supposed to live sort of around water. So there's no water there now. It's just like empty, but these structures were supposed to be able to stand alone, but also be like water around it, like reflecting pools to these huge, ginormous structures. And back to Niemeyer's style profile. So like we said, he was like a modernist architect, and he actually was the person who built, for those of you who don't know, he had built Brasilia, which was like created in Brazil, like this futuristic city, and to become the capital of Brazil. So he got essentially hired based on that work. And he worked solely with really like reinforced concrete. And the things that he worked with and inspired him were like curves, which we can see the shapes here. There's a lot of curves and domes, and like no straight or jagged edges or lines. And he was really inspired by the female form and a woman's body, is what he said. So maybe you can see like the inspiration through his structures. And as I said, he really didn't like stark straight lines, and you can look at his work and not really see anything that was like in that way. So like I said, there were 15 structures, which is a lot of structures, but just some of the things were an open air theater. There was an exhibition space. He even built like housing units, because it was actually intended to have people live in, like sort of breathe and make this area their home. And that was the intention. So there were housing units in homes that were separate, as well as like in community spaces. And then this dome theater is like my favorite thing. It's like, it was supposed to be a space for experimental dance and music. And when you go in, it's just like hollow. There's nothing in there, but the acoustics are insane. So yeah, these are just a few of the things. So back to sort of the history, this space was actually inaccessible, even though, like I said, it was commissioned in the 60s, and then, it started being built in the early 70s. It was inaccessible from 1975 to 1990 because of the Civil War. So it actually turned into, like I said, even though the structures were built, it turned into, instead of a place where it was meant to be like the International Expo Center and like Fairgrounds, it was used as like a barracks for the Syrian military. So kind of became a place where obviously we know like war was going on and unrest and stuff like that. And later it was renamed the Rashid Karama International Fair after the Prime Minister. And in 2006, the fairground was added to the World Monuments Funds list of 100 most endangered sites. So people are trying to raise money and save this space because it's so unique, but it's literally falling apart. And now it's on the UNESCO's list for sites being considered for nomination to the World Heritage List, which is amazing. And that's sort of the hope for this space, because they don't want it to just perish and go away, because it's such a unique space and such an odd area. It's crazy that this is in Tripoli. So the future right now is a little unknown. I guess right now with what's going on in Lebanon, people don't really know, but it is something you can go like walk around and still see, and it's open. So I went last year and it was really amazing. So for those of you who are interested in learning more, there's some really great links. I learned a lot, and there's really amazing, beautiful imagery. I would say that this first article, which is here on the right, is from this architecture journal, and it really goes into understanding like the importance of these structures in Lebanon and the time and the geopolitical sense, and understanding why it was important for Lebanon to try to make this space in this time period of the 1960s. So I really recommend all of these, but especially this journal right here. If you have time, it's a great thing to read about. So that's it. If you want to talk to me, you can. That's me. So yeah, just follow me or whatever, and thanks for listening.